March Forward Girl by Melba Patillo Beals. Narrated by Mr. Townsend, 8th grade ELA, AGW. Chapter 12. Hope that the world can be mine. The joy of Mrs. Wishart's sweet deed lingered in my heart for the entire evening because she had given me a birthday gift that consisted of a promise that white people could treat us as though we were human if the circumstances were right. So my heart was filled with hope, and when I looked at my globe, my heart was nearly exploding. After we put our coats away and warmed our hands, Grandma quickly washed the chicken, stuck an orange inside, rubbed it with butter, added onions and garlic to the pan, and popped it in the oven. Then she added the ham hocks to a big pot of boiling water spiced with garlic, celery, and onion. All those delicious goodies would cook that way for a time, and then she would add the meat to the collard greens left over from last night's dinner. This would be their second day of cooking. 2-day-old collard greens were the best. I was starting to get hungry just watching her stir the pot. When Grandma put the lid on and turned the burner down low, we sat down with the baking soda, vinegar, and water to begin cleaning the globe. Grandma began pulling on her cotton work gloves and mixing the baking soda we'd got at the store with the vinegar and water. With this cleaning potion, she can make things come alive with color and shine. I'd seen her do it to so many times with tattered books and soiled toys. I could always tell when she got it just the way she wanted because she would give me a big smile and a big hug. How I loved to sit and watch the way she worked. I wanted to grow up to become just like Grandma India because she was always so certain she could do a good job. She said that joy and confidence came from totally trusting in God and trusting in yourself to have the skills you needed at hand. I also liked the way she always looked fresh and tidy. Her house dress was always crisply starched. Her long, shiny hair with its gray strands here and there was tucked into a neatly pinned bun at the nape of her neck. As I leaned in close to her, I could smell the dab of vanilla extract she put at the back of her ear for her very special perfume. Grandma India ever so carefully scrubbed off the globe. It seemed as if we sat there forever. Every now and then, she held the globe close, peering through her magnifying glass at portions of it. She stopped only once to get up and add the ham hocks to the collard greens. And then their aroma took over the house. I knew her freshly baked cornbread would soon be casting its spell as well. I could feel the celebration only moments away. Excitement was building inside my chest like a sunburst. I hoped the other dinner guests would come soon. Conrad stormed through the door, laughing and shouting and bothering us, babbling so fast that some of his words were garbled. He wanted to know what we were doing. He stared at my globe and walked toward it. My heart pounded. Just then, Grandma shouted, "It's almost 6 o'clock, boy. Go on to the bathroom and start your bath." He stopped pestering us and went away singing, "Old MacDonald had a farm," in the silliest voice. I was glad he was out of the room because I wanted to be alone with Grandma and the globe. I started to talk to her, to finally unburden my heart of some of the things I had been fretting about. I explained that I was worried that my mother wouldn't come home in time to celebrate my birthday. This was one of her late nights taking class over at the White Folks University. She worked so hard, teaching all day, then studying all night for her master's degree. I knew she was one of only a few of our people allowed to attend that university. I wondered if she was frightened, mixing with all those people who didn't want her there. While I told Grandma that I was worried that Mother Lois wouldn't come home in time to sing happy birthday, what I didn't say was that I was afraid my father wouldn't be there at all. But sometimes it was almost as if Grandma could read my mind. "Your papa will surely come for a visit tonight," she said as she took off her penknife and scraped the base of the globe. Then she looked at me as though waiting to hear my thoughts about his absence, but instead I kept my thoughts to myself. My then daily letters to God had not been answered when it came to Papa, and I could not say my wish aloud because I was keeping it quiet, hoping the Lord would soon understand how important it was to me. My secret hope was just as strong as ever, though. I wanted us to become a family again. We'd better get this globe done quickly so we can clean up and be ready to finish dinner. Grandma said, as if knowing I couldn't talk about it. Company will be arriving soon. Before long, Grandma dried off the globe. Then she took out her glue and showed me the envelope where she'd put the pieces of countries and oceans and mountains that had broken off. She had began very carefully to paste them back onto the surface. There was a period of silence between us as Grandma India worked on the globe. The only sound in the room was our breathing. Then she said, there, child. Now you can get a glimpse at the rest of the world." Suddenly, Grandma India took a deep breath and stood up tall, rubbing her hands against her apron pockets. She had done it once again. She had made magic. To me, the globe looked just like new. I reached up to stretch my arms partway around her waist and hugged her as tight as I could. I looked at all those places painted on my beautiful globe. Maybe one day I could travel to a city where the grocery stores would welcome me and let me take my place in line without having white people jumping in front of me or calling my grandma names. I studied the globe and started to spin it round and round with my fingertips. I found the United States, Arkansas, and then Little Rock, where I lived. Little Rock was in the middle of the United States of America. It felt to me like it was down at the bottom of a deep salad bowl. The sides were tall, and they cut you off from everything else. I wanted more than anything to get to the edge of that country-sized bowl, where the air must be clean and fresh. I imagined if I lived someplace on the very edge of the continent, like California, that the wonderful ocean breeze would set me free. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, bringing me back to my birthday party. "It must be our Rellies," Grandma said, pointing to the front door. "Well, let's go." My relatives arrived for my party, hustling in the door, removing their coats and hugging me. I knew exactly what would happen next. They would focus all their attention on me. It would be fun at first, but I knew they wouldn't be giving me a gift until Christmas. "Well, Missy Melba, I'd only come out in this weather after a long day's work for you, child," said Auntie May. "I'm your gigantic present." It's the same each year with Auntie May. Excuses and hugs, but no gift. Her daughter, my grown-up cousin, Fuchsia, would always say, "If only I wasn't in school, I would buy you the biggest dolly." Uncle Charlie and Aunt Annie would always follow the two, carrying large bowls or huge metal pans of piping hot, spirit-lifting food. I couldn't fault them for bringing what delighted everyone, and certainly I was grateful. Behind them came Uncle Morris, who had the best smile and gold teeth. Soon it was almost 6:30. It was getting late and dinner was ready, but Mother and Papa Will hadn't arrived for my birthday celebration. As I sat down at the dining room table with the green linen napkins, used only on special occasions, the doorbell rang again. It rang so hard and long that Grandma India came running out of the kitchen. "Shh," she said, motioning to me. "Be quiet." It was dark outside now, and supper was ready. Who could it be? The only people we were expecting were Mother Lois and Papa Will, and they had a key to the door. Could this bell ring be a trick? "Who is it?" shouted Conrad as he raced from his bedroom, pulling on the left arm of his bathrobe. "I'll get it." "Do you want to go to bed with no dinner?" Grandma whispered fiercely. "Get back there and be quiet, boy." Grandma shoved him toward his room. I could see in her face that she was frightened. What if it was the clan? What if they had come to get us because They didn't like Mother going to their school. They had threatened in the past to do something to keep her away. Once again, I was surrounded by a whole room of adults who were silent and shaken by the possible arrival of the Klan. I was thinking, why isn't somebody preparing to fight back if it is the Klan? But I also knew that this is what we feared each and every night, the ride of the Klan. One neighbor recently had been hauled out of his house in the middle of the night by the Ku Klux Klan. Then a familiar voice filled my ears. "It's me," Papa Will cried through the door. "Come on and open up. Everything's all right, but hurry, open up." Grandma India's forehead relaxed as she heaved a sigh of relief. The wrinkles in her face turned into smile lines. "Coming, Will, coming." As she unlatched the chain, Papa Will's huge 6'4" tall frame lurched forward into the room. Lashed to his back with a rope was a large square box. I couldn't tell what it was, but it looked very heavy. Even in the freezing December night, beads of perspiration rolled off Papa Will's forehead. He grunted as he stumbled inside. Conrad, barefoot but wearing his green striped bathrobe and jumping up and down like a frisky puppy, chased close behind Papa into the living room. I followed right after them both. But then I couldn't help turning back to see what Grandma was thinking. Her eyes were full of questions and surprise. Shutting the door and locking it behind her, Grandma stood a few steps back. What on earth could Papa Will have brought? And what made him think it would be allowed in the living room? He knew very well how particular Grandma India and Mother were about that precious room. "Television!" Papa Will boomed out as he lowered the big box down to the floor. He wiped his brow with the back of his hand. "Phew! That was a mite heavier than I'd expected." He stood back and grinned proudly. Then we could see there on the front of the box there was a picture of a television set. "Television?" Grandma said, as if she couldn't believe her eyes. "Television!" Conrad screamed, bursting with excitement. "Television," I whispered. We'd never been allowed to watch television at anyone else's house, not even one program. I had walked past television sets in the store and wanted so badly to look up close or touch it, but I knew better. "Well, Will Patillo," Grandma said, "how do you go about turning it on?" "Let's see." Papa took a box knife out of his pocket and cut the cardboard. Then he lifted the most wonderful sight I'd ever seen out of the box. He crawled around the television, putting on his brown horn-rimmed glasses to read tags, then taking them off to see what was written on the back of the cabinet. He tinkered with the box for what seemed forever as the black and white pattern zigzagged across the screen. Uncle Morris and Uncle Charlie stood in the corner shouting information about what to do next, even though they didn't have televisions themselves. Finally, Grandma India ordered us all to come into the dining room. It was 7 o'clock. We still had to have my party, and my brother had to get to bed by 8 and I by 9, though maybe because this was a celebration, we would get to stay up later. We sat at the dinner table, but I was really sad that Mother Lois hadn't gotten home in time for dinner. As Grandma India was scooping up the collard greens onto our plates and Papa was cutting the chicken and cornbread, I heard the front door open and Mother called out to us, "Hello, family. Where's the birthday girl?" "In here," we all shouted. "Hurry." I motioned Conrad to move over a seat so Papa and Mother could sit beside each other. "Why?" Conrad asked. "Mama can sit over there." Then Papa told Mama that he had a surprise for her. "It's in honor of Melba's birthday," he said, "and it's really for everyone." She looked up at him with a girlish grin, and we could all see how much he was taken with her. I hope, once again, that this might be the beginning of our new family life. When all our plates were clean and our stomachs were filled, Grandma told us to turn out the lights, and she brought the beautifully decorated ginger cake to the table with candles blazing. Make a wish, she said. I closed my eyes and wished I could go to California, and then I huffed and puffed, trying to blow out every single candle. Then they all sang happy birthday to me. I felt so happy, even though Mother Lois gave me the usual speech about how I would have a wonderful big Christmas gift to make up for there being no birthday present. After dessert, Papa Will told Mother Lois to come and look at the surprise. We all rushed back into the living room. There, Papa tinkered with the television knobs until it lit up. Then, right before our eyes, real people were talking and singing and dancing in our own living room. A man in a tuxedo came up on the screen and started telling jokes. We crowded into that room with the aroma of the food still surrounding us, some people still munching on their drumsticks. Conrad and I just sat on the floor and stared. Mother and Papa Will sat on the couch looking straight ahead at the picture in silence. Grandma India's eyes were as wide as saucers, and her mouth was open. None of us spoke for such a long time. I almost wet my pants because I didn't want to leave the television to go to the bathroom. My relatives all declared their feelings about the set, from their astonishment at live people dancing in the living room to, "We need to get one or come to your house every night." My grandma told them all, "I don't think so." Thank God tomorrow is Saturday. I thought to myself, all I'm gonna do is watch television. That'll make Saturday wonderful. Then, whack! Suddenly, the television screen went black, leaving the room in darkness. Grandma India had pulled the plug on our great surprise, and she turned on lights. "This TV is the devil incarnate," she said in a loud voice. "It will eat away at our minds. You'll become like tree trunks." We all stared at her. I've seen it in some of those homes I worked in. Television gets the best of the family love. People stop talking to each other, she said. None of them move or do crafts or projects. No one spends time with the Lord. On and on she went, pacing back and forth and waving her arms in the air. She said we had to schedule television and not let it schedule us. We can never watch television without an adult in the room, she said. Then she announced it was time for us kids to help clear the table and do our story reading and head for bed. Any other day, I would have been upset to have her turn off the television like that and just send us to bed. But tonight, in my room, my globe was waiting for me. Tonight, on my 9th birthday, I wanted to go to my room and explore my globe. I wanted to fuel my dreams. I wanted to enjoy my gift of the world.